Hey guys, it's Katy at scrappinkaty.ctmh.com, and it is my turn to post for the Creative Design Team Love Your Stash Challenge, which we have been doing all February long. Now, this week is a wild card, so you can use anything from your stash that you would like. This is my final day to post as part of the Love Your Stash video collab that we've been doing for February. And it is basically free for all, I guess you would say. So you just choose what you want to do. And so I found some photos of a trip that we took to Slitterbond. And I found these photos. It's funny because I actually found a water camera, you know, the old kind where it wasn't digital. We found that over the summer, and so I took it to CVS to get developed, and so these were some of the photos on there. And so I thought that I would go ahead. I'm kind of in a stash busting mode as far as photos, as far as kits, everything. So I thought that I would go ahead and just scrapbook these. It's probably enough for a 2-page layout, so that's what I'm going to try to do. And then I went through all my past kits and I found Surf's Up, which is kind of beachy, summery, really themed. And then I also have a bunch of the PML cards or Picture My Life cards that I want to use. And as far as the kit, I don't have a whole lot. So I have these sticker sheets, and then basically I only have one sheet of 12 by 12 and all the rest is scrap. So I'm going to try to use that up in this video to go ahead and really just bust this kit up and get rid of it and do everything I can possibly do with what I have left over. So let me stop this right here and then I'll speed up the process and walk you through it. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a look at all the PML cards. Now, these are from a long time ago, and they came in huge packages. You got 3 of each design, and the backside was different. So it's going to take me a while just to thumb through these. I do have some 4x6 and some 3x4s that I'm setting aside that kind of go with my photos and this layout that I'm hoping to get done. So I'm just going to pull out all the bigger scraps from this paper collection. Now this paper collection is Surf's Up. I'll end up using 3 additional paper collections that I think really go well with Surf's Up. So I've just pulled out the bigger chunks and then cut those zip strips off just in case I want to use those. And then I'm going to sort all my piles off to the side. Now for the Surf's Up workshop, there is a layout that I'm really liking. So I'm just going to pull from those cuts and cut those off camera. And then I've decided to edge distress all these pieces. Now I'm using an edge distressor here. We no longer carry that, but you can also use your scissors. You just open your scissors, run it along the side of the paper. You just want to be really careful, especially if you're using our micro tip scissors. Don't ask me how I know. So I'm just going to glue these down. Now, one thing with edge distressing, especially these thinner pieces of background and texture paper, they shrink a lot because of the cutting and then just the distressing and the paper kind of lint that falls off from those pieces. So I am gluing these down. Now you notice that I brought in two more paper collections. That pebble pattern, you barely can see it, but it's behind those photos. That's actually from the Footloose collection. And then that striped paper that's going across the page, that's actually from the current collection, Happiness Lives Here. And so I love mixing paper collections. It's really not as hard as it looks because basically Close to My Heart has done it for you. If you notice in the Surf's Up collection, there are already oranges and creams and light blues and stuff like that. So I just played on that by pulling additional paper packs, especially those that I could pull from my stash. I still have one more that I'm about to pull in, and it is an oldie. but I love that all the colors match. And that's mainly, they're not matchy-matchy like you're used to Close to My Heart being, but as long as you have the same color family, as long as you have, the same teals and the same oranges and pinks, then it all just looks like it was meant to be. And you'll be able to tell that in the still photos at the end of this video. So I pulled out some larger chunks of that. I'm going to call it Lagoon, but it's not. It's an older color. I pulled out larger chunks just so I can kind of match the matting on the two square photos for the right page. I end up not using them. I end up pulling this pebble pattern from the Footloose again, and I'm cutting those down to 6¼ by 4¼ and that way it's going to bring over that pattern from the right layout to the left. Now I'm going to glue those down and then edge distress those much like I did the other ones. That way I have that edge distressing that's pretty constant in both of these layouts. So I've added 3D foam sheets to the back of all my layouts and got those adhered down. And now I'm going to start looking at the sticker sheet. Now, believe it or not, this actually was harder than I thought it was going to be. I don't know if it's because I was kind of loosely using the layout from the kit or if it's just because I just had too much going on. But I really cut out a lot of the back and forth trying to figure out what embellishments, which line I was going to use. But overall, I kind of hit this just like aha moment, and I just went with a whole bunch of stuff. And then you'll see me kind of pause a little bit, and then it's another aha moment. I'm sure that you guys always do that. Some things just fall into line as far as embellishments, and then some things take a little bit of time. Sometimes I even come back the next day or hours later and revisit everything. So you saw where I cut that Summer Memories from one of the PML cards. I end up not using it, but I just loved that title option. I've also decided to use a 4x6 card down on that blank spot, and I end up going with the journal card. Not this one that you see here, but as much as I wanted the sun, the one that had the sun pattern, I ended up using that sticker, that square sticker from the uh, Surf's Up. And so I just thought there was way too much sun. So this is the fourth and final paper collection that I'm using, and this is actually from the paper collection Splendor. Now, if you've been around Close to My Heart for a while, if you remember this one, it had clouds, it had frogs, it had bugs. I loved it because at the time, my husband and I only had the 3 boys. And so this paper collection definitely screamed boys, bugs, playing outside, and I just love that cloud paper. So I had one cloud from the sticker sheet that is going on that right layout, but then I wanted to fussy cut the clouds from the Splendor pattern paper so I could also have some clouds on this left sheet. Now I'm just cutting that little pennant from one of the PML cards. I love that it says sunshine and smiles. I am going to play with the placement, and I'll end up putting it on that right layout here in just a second. And then I also wanted to bring another sun over to the left. So that was a sticker. And then it also had a sentiment on it that said, "You are my sunshine," which I felt it was perfect right there by the picture of my boys getting ready to get on those inner tubes and float. So here's the little grouping on the right. I did use another sun and then those 2 clouds. And then I'm going to glue down this journal spot as well as add 3D foam to the back of this square sticker that said sun. And this word bubble was in one of the paper collections and it was already cut. So I thought, why not use it? I mean, it's not really pointing to anyone's mouth, but I just loved that it added blue to the layout and then was a perfect place for that sun sticker to sit. So now I'm pulling in both layouts to see what needs to be done to kind of further mesh the 2 layouts together to make them look like they belong. And so I had these little waves that were cut. It came from some sort of die cut. It was back before Close to My Heart had thin cuts, so I don't think it's a Close to My Heart product. But I just cut those apart And then I'm going to make them span both sides. Well, you can see here that it doesn't quite go all the way to that wave pattern on the left. So now I'm going to try to find something to kind of hide that white spot. Now I pulled out a couple of 3x4 PML cards, and I've decided on this one. Now I'm going to cut these apart, and then I end up using the little one that says I love, and I'll add something to those little journal lines. But I end up taping that down. I do end up bringing back that other one that just says just wanting to hang out, I think. I really liked the size of this other PML card, and that the boys were kind of hanging out on their inner tubes, but I just couldn't make it work. So I did end up adding a sticker of washi to that I love section, and then above the sun. And then these stickers are from the Splendor, that one that I was telling you that had the frogs and everything. And it had these faux brads. So I've added 3 on the left layout and 3 on the right. And then I've just pulled out clear sparkles. They're all the same size, but I'm just going to add those around the little groupings of embellishments, just to kind of add that extra bling. And I thought the layout just needed a little bit of extra something. So that is pretty much the layouts. I'm loving that I finally got these pictures scrapbooked. I'm loving that I don't have much of 2 of the collections left. So I definitely used my stash on this layout. And don't forget that we want you to play along with us by using the hashtag CDT Love Your Stash. Now, tomorrow we've got Carrie coming to show you what she has. And remember, it's a wild card, so there's no telling what Carrie has up her sleeve. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. I would love to have you subscribe and sign up for notifications. And go ahead and hit that like button, and feel free to leave me a comment and tell me if you are using your stash this month of February.